contractor asks for a large down payment. Job is $15,000 to do whatever work that you, and I'm just throwing a number out there to do whatever work that you need be done. And then the contractor says, well, I need 50% down before I can start. Red flag, red flag, red flag. Now, again, this may, be based on the jobs, right? If you're doing a remodel that requires some type of special gear that the contractor is going to have to purchase or rent, and you kind of did your research and you understand the cost of that, you'll have to weigh that option. The people's voice. Welcome back. Welcome back. This is the people's voice. I am Trey Evans, and I am the people's voice. Thank you very much for checking out the podcast again this week. As always, it is greatly appreciated. Excuse me while I adjust the mic here. I sound like I'm talking in a tunnel. Thank you again for checking out the podcast. As always, it's greatly appreciated. As always, we thank everyone who's taken some time out to listen to the podcast. We do understand that you could be doing something else with your time, so we appreciate the time that you're dedicating to listen to the podcast and to listen to me, the host of the People's Podcast. And my name is Trey Evans. As always, if this information is valuable and you feel like you want to share it, we do encourage you to subscribe to the podcast. That way you'll be notified as each episode is released. We put out a new episode every Friday. And then for those of you who choose to watch the video, you can check out the video every Friday at 3 p.m. We put out a video on YouTube on my channel, which is Trey Evans. That's the YouTube channel, and you can view the podcast. And this week, you're in for a treat because I'm rocking the exclusive People's Voice podcast shirt. And these shirts are available. If you would like to purchase them, you can go out to our social media. We have a link to our page there, that our store, where you can purchase a People's Voice shirt if you like. Again, no obligation, but we appreciate the support. Today, I want to talk about home contractors. And the reason I want to talk about this is, if you've been anywhere on, any type of media, social media, traditional media, whatever, that home buying, home ownership has been a consistent topic, definitely since the pandemic, when, so many people were working from home and home sales went through the roof, and, there's a housing shortage and blah, 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 interest rates, you've heard it all. And so with that, another industry that has boomed during these times is the home remodel, home contracted, general contractor industry. And, the boom has been because many people have, for those who have existing homes, have done remodeling, whether it's kitchen or bathrooms or extensions to homes, or just, repairs from wear and tear. And then you have a ton of people that have also obviously bought new homes that have been built by home building construction companies. But then you also have individuals who have had homes built from the ground up, and they've paid GCs, general contractors, to do these jobs. In any event, there has been a huge increase in the number of complaints and reports about individuals being scammed regarding home repair or general contractors doing build outs. There's also been a huge surge in the number of complaints and cases against home remodels that have either gone awry or gone astray or haven't been completed. So today I want to talk about, the surge in the or the issues with contractors, home remodel contractors, general contractors that have been reported in the last few months, and or I should say, definitely in the last couple of years. So I want to talk about some of the challenges that have come with that. I will definitely want to talk about some of the signs that you, as a consumer, should be aware of if you are deciding to work with a general contractor or a home remodel contractor or home contractor, however you want to title them, and then of course provide some information about what you can do in the event that you unfortunately become a victim, if so to speak, of working with a ill-equipped or a contractor that does not complete the work as agreed to. So that's what I want to talk about today. Talk about the issues with home contractors here in the last few months. So, I guess it's, to kick it off, kind of understanding what the purpose of a contractor is, right? One thing that I learned many years ago is that, and this really just goes with any service, is that you pay people for either things that you don't want to do or that you can't do, right? That's the reason you pay someone to do something, right? If you bring in a electrician or a plumber or a contractor that does kitchen or bathroom remodels, you're bringing them in because either A, you can't do the work, or B, you don't want to or don't have the time to, right? And so that's kind of the premise of hiring someone to do the work, right? Now, you combine that aspect with that this is your home. This is, for many people, this is where they live. And I'm not getting into people that do renovations and flips. I'm talking strictly about the homeowner today. This is your home. This is where you live. This is where your family is. This is your center of your center, where you center yourself from the outside world. And so for you to bring someone in, you of course want to bring them in because, like I just said, either A, you don't know how to do the work that you're contracting the individual for, or you just don't simply have the time or don't want to do it, right? And so when you bring someone in, it is a big deal. And so you want to be able to safeguard yourself when you decide to do that. Now, like I said, in the last couple of years, home ownership here in the United States, and again, I'm talking about here in the United States, and I'm pretty sure all over the world, but as a result of COVID, home ownership has increased tenfold to the point where there's, saying that there's a housing shortage. And with that, many people have also moved in not to just new homes, but they've moved into old homes, and old homes need some updates. And because of that, there has been a surge in issues with many contractors. So just going through a article that I read here on consumeraffairs.com, and they kind of went from a study that was done by a bond company. In this survey that they quoted, they said that through their survey, they found that about 1 in 10 Americans have been a victim of a contractor scam. And on average, based on their survey, they note that, individuals have lost on average about almost $2,500 in some of these scams. And these scams range from everything from, people taking money, never showing up, doing half the work, never showing up, or just doing the work and it's terrible work, and 6 months, a year later, they're having issues. But on average, they're saying that individuals have lost about $2,500. Now, $2,500, of course, is money. I'm not going to discount that. But there are stories of people losing hundreds of thousands of dollars through some of these scams. So I'm going to get into that here in a second. But I kind of just wanted to set the foundation about what I wanted to talk about today. So really wanted to, highlight some of the issues that have been occurring with general contractors or home remodeling contractors here in the last couple of years. So where is the money going, right? That's the big thing. The money you contract with let me take a step back. So there are some things that you, as an individual, as a homeowner, need to do when you contract with a contractor, right? And I'm going to go through those and then I'll expound a little bit. So I was reading an article here on architecturaldigest.com, and they kind of laid out 12 different signs, if you will, that you should be aware of, or that should be red flags if you're working with a contractor that maybe you want to do a little bit more investigating, or you might not want to work with that contractor and go a different route. So one of the first things that they note here is that when you're working with a contractor, you want to, well, of course, you want to check your references, right? Let me not go in order because they have a certain order here, but I'm going to kind of go based on my own knowledge, and then I'll kind of chime off the article here. So the first thing you want to do is you want to check the reviews, right? You want to get references and reviews. That's the first thing that I do. Now I'm just talking personally, that I do when I have contractors come into my home to do any work or any type of anything, whether it's interior or exterior, right? First thing I do is, I'll pull either from friends, family, community, network, say, hey, do you know a person that does electricity? If somebody says, yeah, I know so-and-so, even though they recommend them to me, I'm going to do my own research, right? And most reputable contractors will be listed on Google. Now, I know, or on Yelp or whatever review site it is, doesn't matter. But I know there are a lot of individuals who are not on these sites. I know there are a lot of individuals who kind of just are great at what they do and they're not registered. And I get all of that. But for me, I'm telling you, and I have a pretty good track record as being a homeowner for well over 20 years of not having had any major issues with contractors. So I do Google research, find out, if they have reviews, kind of do some of the background work. The next thing you want to do is you want to get more than one contractor, right? Even though somebody might refer me and say, hey, this person has done electrical work before and they do a great job, I still want to get at least two other contractors that I can compare to kind of see, okay, once I bring them in, ask them questions, get an understanding of their knowledge, kind of, get an understanding of some of the jobs that they worked on, and then of course, getting a comparable bid to see, where they are in terms of pricing. But going back, the first thing you want to do is you want to do a review. You want to find out references, who they work for, what type of jobs they've done before, and what type of reviews that they have online. Now, if the contractor doesn't have references, for me, that's a red flag, right? Because especially I like to work with individual. Well, it depends on the work. I don't want to say that, but I like to work with somebody that has experience, right? Again, we're talking about your home. This is not, your business. This is your home. So, it's very personal, and you want to make sure that you have somebody that has the experience for the work that you're looking to contract out. So that's the first one. Okay, I know I got long-winded. Get references, do reviews. That's number one. That's the first thing you want to do. And a lot of this is not just for new homeowners because, based on a lot of studies, the scammers, in terms of contract scammers, a lot of people that are scammed are not, first time homeowners. These are people that have been in homes, for decades that usually fall victim first to the scams. So, just FYI, this is not about, just, new homeowners or people that have been in homes for a short amount of time. So that's the first thing that you want to do. No references, no reviews. That's the first red flag for me. You want to kind of maybe either move on or do some further investigation. Secondly, once you decide on a contractor and they put a contract together, the contract has to be very specific. It has to be very specific, meaning that it has to detail exactly what is going to be done. You also want to have timelines in there on when it's going to be done and what materials are going to be used. I'm telling you, make sure you have that information in writing. And if the person says, well, I don't do contracts, then my suggestion to you is that you respond, well, I don't do business with people who don't do contracts, because as I get further down the line in this explanation, you're going to understand why. So that's flag number 2. This contract has to be very detailed. If it's vague or they say don't do contracts, move on, do something else. And a contract can be, an invoice, a proposal. It can be a proposal where it doesn't have to be, something that's detailed, with, a whole bunch of legal jargon. It can be a proposal, but it has to be very detailed on what it is that they're going to be providing. And then also, some of the signatures that are required to go forward with that. That's number 2. Number 3, flags. If the contractor asks for a large down payment, job is $15,000 to do whatever work and I'm just throwing a number out there, to do whatever work that you need be done. And then the contractor says, well, I need 50% down before I can start. Red flag, red flag, red flag. Now, again, this may, be based on the jobs, right? If you're doing a remodel that requires some type of special gear that the contractor is going to have to purchase or rent, and you kind of did your research and you understand the cost of that, you'll have to weigh that option. But 99.9% of the time, if they ask for anything over 30%, my eyes are wide open. I'm like, excuse me, come again. Based on some of the articles that I've read, I'm reading an article here on Angie's List. Matter of fact, Angie's List does a lot of, this is what they do. They promote and provide information on contractors. They say almost every contractor charges a homeowner a deposit on a remodeling contract. It says it can be up to 50%. Again, for me, I'm concerned about up to 50%. Half down, I'm concerned. But it does say that, typically the deposit or the down payment should be within the range of 10 to 30%, which is much more common. So again, working with a contractor and they ask for a large upfront payment, red flag, you want to do your research. Another flag, if the bid comes in too low, again, like I said in the beginning, I typically like to work with 3 different contractors. I'm going to make sure that I get bids or proposals from each of them. Once I do that, I'm then going to compare. Now, if contractor A and B come somewhere similar, 10%, maybe 5% off from each other, 3% off, and then contractor C is 20% lower than everyone else, that's a red flag for me. Some people may look at it like a deal, but for me, I go, oh, Why are you so low? I'm concerned. That's another red flag. And there's a ton of them that I can go through. I think the last one, which is most important to me, is that they don't have any insurance or licensing. If you're working with a contractor that doesn't have insurance or doesn't have a business license or a license for the work that they do, that's another red flag. My suggestion is that you move on from that and then find a contractor that does have that, because insurance liability, especially when they're working in your home, is huge. Because if something happens to them or one of their workers, or something happens to your home, you need to be working with somebody that has the ability or the backing to support those type of issues. So again, another red flag: no insurance and not licensed. I'm concerned. Now I know people listening to this and say, "Man, I work with so and so, and I got it, and that's cool." I'm just saying, for me, I need these things to be reassured, because again, you're coming into my home, and this is my, this is where I center and rejuvenate. I can't have any mistakes or bad decisions occur or bad outcomes occur because I didn't do my due diligence that I feel is necessary to ensure that the work is going to be done. Now, all of these things that I said, you can have all these things and something could still go wrong. So I'm not saying it's foolproof. I'm just telling you that these are the things that you should consider when you're dealing with a contractor. Matter of fact, let me play a clip here from a family in Boston, and they were doing a home remodeling. They were doing actually an extension to their existing home, and listen to what happened with the contractor that they were working with. And this contractor did have reviews. Check this out.
Playing from OSA.
I was really excited about this area.
The blueprint was ready to go, and after checking references and reviews, the Bedford couple felt confident in the contractor they hired.
The impression of him was he was very knowledgeable, very charming.
So they signed a contract last July and handed over a $35,000 deposit.
Our expectation was that there was going to be a permit in place and the foundation started. Yeah.
That was your expectation?
Yeah.
What happened?
He disappeared.
A few weeks later, they were blindsided with the news the contractor was filing for bankruptcy.
So what happened to your money?
Well, he doesn't have it. He can't return it, and he doesn't know.
What's the emotion you're feeling?
The first emotion was certainly anger. Just felt very personal because it was just a big deal. And $35,000 is a big deal.
All these families.
So, as you heard there, that's $35,000 that family is out of. And they check the references and check the reviews. So again, even after doing the due diligence, it is very risky to have home contractors or general contractors work on your home. But you want to do as much as you can to limit the risk of something going wrong, or in a case like this, having a contractor who just disappears with the money, and then they try to do their due diligence to get it back, and now the general contractor has filed for bankruptcy. So what can you do in these situations, right? Talked about all the problems and the flags that you want to be aware of. What can you do? Well, one of the first things that you should do is you want to contact the contractor, right? Just like you heard in this case. If the contractor doesn't respond, you then have to either look for ways to mediate, as they say, legal term, the situation, how to fix the situation, right? You reached out to the contractor, he or she hasn't gotten back to you. You've sent emails, you've called, you've sent letters, nothing. Now you have to go to the next step. So what is the next step? First thing you could do is you can definitely reach out to a lawyer. You can reach out to law enforcement lawyer. You're going to definitely have to reach out to a lawyer eventually, but reach out to the Better Business Bureau. That's the first one, right? You want to file a complaint to see if there are any other complaints there. Then you want to reach out to your local law enforcement agency to let them know that you feel like you've been violated, even though this is often not enforceable by police, right? Because you've invited these people in. So there's really, it's a crime, but it's really not a local police crime, but you can report it so you have some documentation. The next thing you want to do, of course, is you want to file a complaint with your home improvement commission for your state. A lot of these, especially if in this case where you have a licensed contractor, their license has to be certified by the state. So you want to be able to report that to the state, so then you can try to get some type of retribution or some type of remedy. Excuse me, that's what I'm looking for. Remedy to the situation. If you do all of those things and none of that happens, then finally you have to sue. So what is recommended is that you, if you can, have the work done, right? Have it completed, and then you sue the contractor for the work that was completed. Now you can also go about trying to sue to get the contractor to do the work that hasn't been done, or they've ran off with the money to try to get it back. But as you heard in this case, and often happens, these contractors will file for bankruptcy, and then you can't get any money from them. So, in a lot of cases, it's recommended that if you can, right, especially for smaller projects, get the work done and then sue the contractor to try to get the money back. Of course, again, this can be a situation where you might not get your money back at all, because once they file for bankruptcy, a lot of their debts are discharged, or they're basically claiming that they don't have assets and there's nothing to attach the suit to recover the money. But those are just some of the things that you can do in the event that you do run into a contractor that unfortunately doesn't do the work and disappears, or and does bad work. Also, if you have a contractor that just does shoddy work, these are the same remedies that you can use to try to recoup some of the money that has been spent for the work that has been done poorly or not to your standards. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. I like I said, there's been so much conversation about home ownership in the last few months. I wanted to kind of highlight some of a trend that is definitely occurring in the country, and want to kind of give everyone a heads up on what's going on with that. So as always, I do hope this information was enlightening. If it was, please feel free to contact us and leave a comment on the social media platforms. You can reach me at I am Trey Evans. That's on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also reach us at The People's Voice Podcast. The People's Voice Podcast. That's on Instagram. And then, of course, you can reach me on LinkedIn or YouTube as well. So, I do hope this information was helpful. As always, dreams are not just for sleeping. Please wake up and live your dreams. My name is Trey Evans, the People's Voice. Tell somebody about the dream. Salute. People's Voice.